All right, Leah, go ahead and I'm going to put myself on mute and you can go ahead and start.
Okay, so hi everybody, I'm Leah and I am a director. My team is just a bunch of Centaholics, but I kind of shortened it, or I didn't, the team actually did. Actually, maybe it was me, to Jabos, because apparently I live in a world of acronyms and that just worked for me. So my thought for tonight was just to talk about recruiting for me personally and what I did, because that is what shot me to director status. I started in May of 2020, and by September, I was a director. So, and I'm a firm believer that it definitely was a bit recruiting. It was building my team. I didn't do it intentionally. I started with Cincy literally because it was the pandemic, and I'm obsessed with seasonal scents, and just my house smelling good. It puts me in a better mood. And so I wanted to, get a discount and get some free product if I could. Never had the intention of having a team. But I do have a leadership background in terms of teams. So I kind of knew how to navigate, maybe that's a good word for it, in terms of just being a good mentor and being what I would want out of a mentor. And I think all those are key things with recruiting too, right? Like once you get your teammates and keeping them, I think that's a big struggle. Recruiting obviously is, but once you get your team, basically, how you can keep them engaged, how you can get them to build off of their, to make their own teams so that you're progressing as well, right? So I figured this would be just very, I do have a little bit of notes, but I figured I would just do full transparency and talk to you about those things. So basically what I do with every person, number one, that hosts a party with me, I kind of talk about with the host why I started this, is just like I did with you all. I go through my why, right? Like how it looks for me and what happened along my path. And I think that the first thing that comes out of my mouth was I wanted free product or discounted product, because that's generally what most hosts want, right? They're like, oh, I want some new warmers or some new wax. So I always present that first, in terms of, if we get your party up to 200, you can get the host kit for $59. And then I always save a picture of the host kit in my phone so that I can text it to them, right? So usually that's what I'm doing, is texting with my hosts. And I point out, like, this is a lot of product. And even if you tried it for a little bit, it wasn't your thing, it's still worth the money. So I have those conversations kind of up front or towards the middle, at times at the end too, depending on how well they do in their party. I circle back, right? Like, so I kind of dabble in a little bit in the beginning, and then I circle back at the end. And basically I feel like all of my frontline that I've recruited, for the most part, I encourage when they have it's through parties. That's like probably 90% of my recruitment is through parties. And then I also tell them, look at your network that you have. Like, think about your customer base, right? Look at the people that are buying from you. Technically, they bought from me during the party, but again, they would all be your customers now, and they would all be buying from you. And I'm horrible at math, so I am really bad at like saying, oh, look, you could have got all this, your commission on this would have been this. I don't generally go down that road. If they ask me, I will. But I don't generally go down the commission road in terms of that. I talk more about the product. I also let them know, I'm here for you. Like, if you sign up under me, I'm going to give you all you have to do training on your own, but I'm going to be a good support system for you, because I think that's key. I think that's important, that people feel comfortable that they can come to you and ask you questions, right? I think that is what, what drives me, is that I can go to Kim or Jamie or Candace, or even now Hope, like our little pod that we have of directors. Hey guys, I need help, or I'm having a moment where I can't remember something, can you help me? Having that good support system is key. And it's funny because I pulled my front line. I have a group chat with them, just my front line that I've recruited. And I was like, what do you guys think? What are you, since I recruited every one of you, what was the main factor for you to join Sensi? And most everybody said the product, right? Obviously, the product speaks for itself. They wanted it for themselves, just like I did. But they also said, workstation, all the news articles, the idea of having new product to sell to customers, like never being bored, if you will, like being able to, I have people that were doing, other brands without going into names too, or prior, and they've all said that Cincy has been the best. So it's there, like the backbone for you to recruit is there, right? Like we're going to talk the talk, we can walk the walk, right? Like it's there. I think just being 100% with them, being available, talking, and don't be afraid of the first no. I think that's a big one too. Don't be afraid of somebody going, no, I don't know a lot about that. I don't know. I'm not a salesperson. I get that a lot. I'm not a salesperson. And you know what I tell everybody? I'm not a salesperson either. Like nothing is more cringy to me than having to go buy a new car or something crazy like that, right? Like nothing is more, or even walking into a brick and mortar store anymore. It's not so bad now, but walking into the store and people just swoop on you. I hate that. Like, let me come find you, right? Like if I have a question, let me come find you. Or if you see me looking around, then come approach me. I think the key to being a salesperson in this business is just talking about why you love it. And that's what I tell people. I never feel like I'm selling to customers. I always share, right. Good point, JB. If you're posting about on your social media about your Starbucks drink, you can post about Cincy. That is something else that I say too to people. I'm like, the thing I get to is, well, how much training do you have to do, or how much do you have to sell to keep your status, And I tell everybody, I love our saying that we have, Kim, like, if you come to the table, we're going to feed you, right? Like, if you come to the table and you want knowledge, we're going to help. Again, it goes back to having that open door, inter policy, which some people could take advantage of, right? You don't always want it to be like, you come to me, I'm going to give you all the answers. I'm going to teach you to fish too. But then you have to go out and fish. So I think something that I've told people before too, I'm going to spend an hour watching TV, or I'm going to spend an hour coming to Touchpoint Tuesdays, right? Like, or make money, like what are my options here? So I tell people it's all on it's not required. Trainings are not required. You don't have to log so many hours a week for your Cincy, like Cincy's not going to hold you accountable for that, but you should, because it's going to do nothing but help develop you. So yes, your trainings, sharing on social media, we share on there anyway, right? Like our favorite quotes, what recipes we like, we do that anyway. So why not do it when we have a favorite warmer or our favorite scent that we like, or if we're changing our scents? So that's just what I tell people. But the other big question I get from people is, do you do in-home parties, or how do you run your business? And I tell everybody 90% of my business is ran through my phone, my iPad, and my laptop, usually my phone, and through social media. It's so easy. And again, to tie back to what Jamie was saying, I'm going to post about all those other things. I'm going to post about Cincy, right? And people are watching. I think that's the big thing too with folks on my team, is they're like, I feel like I post and I don't get anything, or I don't get anybody. They're watching. Promise you. Because here's what's going to happen. It's later on down the road, they're going to be like, gosh, I really want this. Who's selling that? Oh, that's right. Leah sells Cincy. I mean, that's happened to me so much that I didn't even, like just by me planting that seed. Yes. Your meatball story, Kim. Yes. Like they are watching. So don't be afraid of the no, right? Just keep, and again, just talking about things with them, having that open dialogue, just answering things. Something else I wanted to share with you all. I actually have share written down on my paper. I pre-make these recruiting new consultant kits, right? So if I get a recruit, I do these, it's got like a little gift in there. I usually put the Scentsy purple pens. I had to order more. And then I make these cards. They get like a little sample of like felt, wax felt. These are like reusable. I think we got some wax melts in these little things. So I just reused them and put like the felt wax sample. And then I put like a little nail file from the consultant store in there. Like I said, I read out the purple pins, and I'm gonna put these real pretty purple ones right here that we can get in the consultant store. I always put one of those in there. And then I make little cards, and I tell them all this. I'm like, you'll get a little package for me with introducing me, the team, about your first 90 days, shooting star, sensational star, like, and then I have this little card right here. Ooh, this camera always throws me off. Let's do this. And then her join date or his join date on the 15th, they get shooting star. I write in their dates on that too. But I always pre-make these little packages. I have like 4 behind me that I just made the other day. It takes some time, but it's worth it because look, I got a little sticky on here that says, don't forget to fill out the card because I'll forget to put the dates in there. So I put little stickies on to remind myself. And also I went through and cut up some stickers, some scent stickers, and I'll do like a couple of these in there too. And what I've decided to do this year in 2022 is actually make labels. Like here are mine. And I printed the wrong ones. I just realized that. I have some other ones with my QR code on there. So as soon as I get them to set up their link, right, I take the QR code, I make a QR code for them, and I put them in here, and I'm gonna send them a whole sheet of this for their first, just for them to have. So I basically, I let them know about all this, right? I'm like, you're gonna get a little package for me. It's gonna have little gifts in it, because make it personal, like let them know you're invested, right? When you're talking about recruiting, tell them that, like, there's really no, I'm getting like so helpful. Yes, there's really no obligation outside of you paying for the kit, right? Unless you have one that you're going to gift them. And that's a whole, I mean, we could go over that if you guys want to talk about it, but making sure that, you're there for them. It's funny because I think we talked about this before too, Kim and Jamie. I've said, I got to go feed the babies. I've had like 2 or 3 new ones at a time. And I'm like, I got to go feed my babies. Like literally, that's how I think about it in my head. They're newborns. They don't know, right? So I have to check on them. Okay, how are you guys feeling? Or they'll add me to their VIP page, or I'll tell them, add me to your VIP page so I can go in there and help you. And I always add them to mine so that they can copy and paste things out of my page, and for the most part, they get the hang of it and they'll start making their own posts after a while. But, a lot of them have busy jobs, a lot of them are in school. And I'm like, you can copy what I have. It's fine until you feel comfortable. So I think if people know, because I remember just when I signed up, I thought, oh my God, I'm going to have to think of all this stuff to post about. I'm going to have to think of where are these pictures at? I remember just thinking about all that. So I always go back to that thought when I'm recruiting. So are there any questions? Do you guys have questions? Is that helpful? Making sure I didn't miss any. If you're posting about your start. Yeah, okay, we're good. I think I went through everything. My best key things I can tell you is full transparency. Oh, good. Full transparency. Tell them your why. Tell them why you did it, and then just walking them through, letting them know they have a partner, like letting them know. I think that's what sets Scentsy apart from other MLMs versus, other companies that I've heard of. And for me, that's what it is too. Like, we have a really good team and we have a really good support system with all of us. And I really do think that is that's what attract people want to belong, right? For the most part. And people have FOMO, fear of missing out, right? So they want to be a part of something. So if you're opening that door, again, you have to do your follow through, right? Like, you have to be there. But if they feel comfortable enough, they'll do it. They'll take the leap. And then that's when they start seeing success, right? Because Scentsy does a great job with the sensational start, the shooting star. One of my girls today was telling me, like, one of the things that she loves is like the little charms we get for our bracelets, our little pins, like that kind of stuff. Was like, it means something to people. So I think those are probably my best things that have worked for me. Um, and people can see how much I love the product. Like I've had people tell me that too before. You really enjoy it. You really like, I do lives. I haven't done any here lately, but I like to do a lot of lives in my VIP groups, and people love it. Like they'll come in there, and I'll have my 13-year-old do them with me, and they love to watch her too and let's smell everything. People love that. They have FOMO, right? You're missing out. I'm like that. Like I'll see Instagram stories, and Kim, I downloaded your little fetch thing today because I was like, ooh, I need that. I think I got like almost 10,000 points already. So yeah, like they are watching, and you'll be so surprised. And I'm gonna go back one more time, Jamie. So I'm thinking my hamster's on its wheel. Don't let somebody tell you, well, my neighbor's a Cincy consultant. Because what is it that we always say? How many McDonald's are in a town? How many Starbucks are in a town? You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter. Your neighbor may be a Cincy consultant, but what if she's not working her business? What if she's just doing it for her? If you could work your business and earn a cruise to Alaska. I have a team of 50 in here. Oh, your neighbor's on your team. Maybe I'm reading your comment. Hold on. Check in, post a trade. I don't have to say same girl. 3 people interact, you get involved, and the rest of the 12 don't do anything. But they're watching. I have the same. I've got some people that all they will do is message me personally. I'm like, put this in our team page. This is such a good idea. Like, put it in our team page. Other people are going to be just like you, like, yeah, I feel like this is a common thing, Amanda. Like I do. But I think the best solution is that making them comfortable. 100%, like, right? Like we're here to support each other. Jump in that team page. And here's the thing too, I tell people, put it in the team page because I don't have storage in my phone anymore. That's why I post things in the team page, because it's saving it. You can always go back to the page, go to the little spyglass and type in, whatever it is that you're looking for. So I think I did post my new starter kits in my team. I can post them too in wax bars. I remember to get in there and do it. When y'all remind me, like my new starter kits, I put that in the T page. I did a call with one of my girls the other day. She was like, "Can I just really like to have some one-on-one time with you?" And I'm like, "Okay." So I scheduled the time, and I just literally went through what I did for my recruiting kit. She wanted to recruit more, and we literally just walked through it all. And she was like, "This is so helpful." So again, hand holding is good for people that want it. You're gonna come to the table, I'll feed you, like I'll show you what I'm doing. And so far it's worked. Like so far it's not out of compliance or anything. But yeah, that's my best advice. And it's worked for me. And now I've got people that are building their team. And it's a whole nother level, right? Then it's me teaching them. Remember what I taught. And this is the thing too, I think about all this cool stuff that you're doing for people. Yes, it's time consuming, but they're going to remember what a good leader you were to them, and they're going to turn around and be that leader to their team. So that it's the domino effect. So you're not only building out your team that way, but you're building people up too to be good leaders. So I don't know. I hope that's helpful. I really didn't have a plan. I was just, I could talk all day. So I hope that was helpful for everybody. And my top 3 things I wrote down was full transparency, what's your why, and share. Literally, recruiting 101. I have it right here for me.
I love it. I thought it was super helpful. I wrote down a whole page of notes. One of the things that I wrote down, and it was one of the first things that you said when you talked about how, it's not just recruiting. Recruiting isn't just like a one-step thing. It's not just about getting the person to click the button, right? So it's recruiting leads to sponsoring, leads to mentoring and leading. And it's a process, and it's not something that ends, right? Like Jamie's a director now, but it doesn't mean that I don't still work with her. And, I'm not like, okay, go ahead, do your thing. Now, granted, she's got, she can do her thing and she can run her business, but there are times where we'll get together and chat about stuff. It's not something that ends. Like you have to be in it for the long haul with the people that want to be in it. So yeah, it's not like recruiting. And, there are some people out there who do it that way. And there are some companies out there who do it that way, where they get you in the door and then they throw you to the wolves and good luck to you. But we aren't like that here. And that's not how, we aren't treated that way. And therefore we don't treat our people that way. And when we're showing them how to do it, they're going to turn around, like Leah said, and they're going to duplicate that. And they're going to do that with the new people that they have. The things that you did that made them feel special and seen and that keep them, they're going to do those same things for their new team members, because those are the things that were important to them. What else was I going to say? Oh, another thing that I wrote down when you were talking about, when you're talking to your hostesses about, look at the support system that you have, because a lot of times what do we hear is that no one's going to buy from me. I mean, I said it, that was like one of my big things when I first started. And I think what I love so much about the options that we have for Join now, especially with the host kit, whether or not they get that $59 kit or they go for the full kit, I think, since we approach it a little bit differently now, where there are a lot more people that are hosting leading into joining, is that if you have a great hostess, I mean, you can have that conversation and you can be like, everything that you did in this party, that was my job, right? So you're already doing it.
Yeah.
It's not like you have to go learn. We don't have specific verbiage that we have to use. There isn't a certain cookie cutter way to do anything that we do, which is awesome, because I've seen a lot of different ways that people lay out parties. I've seen a lot of different ways that people do a lot of things, and it doesn't work for me. I might have tried it. It doesn't work for me, but that's okay. I can still be successful. But it's important for people, the ones that are maybe wanting to join, but a little bit apprehensive, to know that it's not as big and scary as you might think. Like, I will tell my hostesses, I'm like, you basically just did the entire party by yourself, but I'm going to get paid unless you join. So maybe you should do that so that you can get the paycheck, because you did the work. I've had hostesses that are that good at it because they've hosted so many times. And then finally, I mean, not all of them, trust me, I still have a few that haven't yet, but every once in a while, it clicks for them and they're like, yeah, I can do this. I've hosted 5 parties and they've all been over $500. And they'll come in and they'll share their pictures and they'll ask questions and they'll do polls. And they literally, like, I sit back and I'm like, okay, and to be able to have that conversation and say, you're doing the work, like you're already doing it.
Don't you think too that I feel like people get really I was nervous, right? When I got promoted to director, I remember telling you, Kim, I was like, oh my God, I don't even know. Like, I feel like I just got here, like I don't even know what next, what it looks like down this path. But, I think people get really scared about the unknown, right? And I think where we have a great advantage is that we have each other. And we have people on here that have years of doing Scentsy, whether you're a director or a star consultant, or it is, whatever your title is, you have people, think about all the Facebook groups we have, like that we all join, the Canva, the Visily, all these different groups we join where we're in there reading things. Like, those are things I think people want to hear too. Again, because everybody's on Facebook, right? Like, they can find the resource or we can help them find it. I think that was a big thing for me. I was just nervous. I work full time. So I was just nervous that I wouldn't have the time to devote to being a director, because I looked at it as another job in terms of I had to learn everything at once, right? But that's not the case. Like, yes, post scheduling is our first, oh God, I saw the world in color when somebody introduced me to that, because I was like, oh, what is this? Yeah. So I just think we need to let them in on the secret, like and I love what you said, that segue, Kim, like, I'm going to make the money off of this unless you want to make it. And then we can make it happen just like that. Right. Like, yep. So
I think once you kind of put it to them and be like, this is literally what you do. You know, like, I mean, yes, there's more to it if you want to grow more there. It can be more than that. But, you know, starting out, like it's as simple as doing what we just did in this party. Get one or two people to host one and you just do exactly what you just did and you're going to get the commission, right? Unless they get really good at it and they join and then you've got a team member, right? So building up their confidence before they even join, you know, and making them feel like, gosh, maybe I really could do this, you know, I think it's super important. But then it's continuing that support. And it doesn't always have to be, you. Supporting them doesn't necessarily mean answering all of their questions and giving them all of their information. Supporting them and mentoring them once they are on board. I mean, Sensi provides that first things first checklist, that it offers great trainings, great, you know, insight into the workstation and things like that. You're going to be their touch point for them, but there are so many resources. You don't have to be the keeper of all of the information for them. And I think that's important because from a sponsoring standpoint, sometimes, and especially like with you, Leah, you sponsored so soon that it's kind of like your feet were barely even wet and you had a new person coming on. And that can be super scary because you feel like you don't know enough to help them yet. But the cool thing is that you don't have to know a lot because you guys got to learn together using the resources that we've got.
That's exactly what I told them too. My first two that signed up with me, I said, you know what, we're going to do this together. We're going to jump in the ocean together, right? Like we're going to just hold hands and do it together. And that's what we did. And that's what we've always done. And I think, again, making people just feel like they have a partner and they have a mentor in such the way that they're not going to, but again, I should point out too, because this has kind of bit me in that I am definitely that type of personality that I do want to help everybody, right? Like that it's easier. It's this is gonna sound bad, but it's easier for me to just do it for you because and hope and I'm thinking in my mind, because I do it for you, you're watching and you're learning. And not everybody's like that though, right? Like not everybody's they're gonna be like, well, you did it for me before, you know what I mean? And then I get frustrated. So I think it's really important too that you also keep reminding them that they can do it, like that it's not hard. One of the things I always do with my team, somebody, I don't remember who it was saying in the chat that they have a hard time getting people to interact. One of the things I do in my team, on my team page, is I'll say something happened on workstation. Will somebody go to earn the news tab? I can't go in there right now. Will somebody tell me what's going on? Even though I kind of know what it already is. But it makes people go on there and look, right? They'll be like, ooh, again with the FOMO. What's going on? I'm missing something. And I'll say, come back here and post it when you figure it out for the rest of us.
That it's FOMO, and it's also what I find a lot of times is that people want to be the first one, like, or like what I see, and Laura Godwin does this a lot in her team page, and I love it. And this is something that, and it's not like, I'll just tell you what it is. So she'll ask a question that could be common knowledge, right? It could be common knowledge. It's something that you could find the answer to in Workstation or your consultant guide or whatever. And she'll just ask the question and she'll get so many responses because people want to be the first one to answer. You know, they want to help out. They want to give the answer. Or just like when we tell team members, if they have a question, can you go post that in the team page? Because I'm sure somebody, you know, and there are times where, and I got team members on here, there are times where I'll tell you to do that because I want other people, you know, I want other people to be able to chime in. Sometimes I'm super busy and I can't look for the answer. Like I might be at my other job or whatever. But there are other times where I just want to give other people the opportunity to jump in and help. Because not only does it help you with your question, but it empowers them because they have information and they can share that information.
Yep.
And that's a big deal. When people feel like what they contribute is valuable, that's a big deal. And so giving them the opportunity to do that is going to boost morale. It's going to boost participation because that's a feel good thing, right? Whatever those hormones and things that come out when, you know, when you feel good, whatever, that happens because they're empowered to share information that they know. and help somebody out that is struggling with whatever the question is.
Yes. And then something else to what was reminding me what you were saying, Kim, is I make it a point. I love to recognize. Laura's like this. Laura Godwin's like this. I love to recognize people. So anytime somebody that that's my front line that hits a title, like earns a title or 500 PRV or whatever it is, I always do something for them. Even if it's just sending something through Amazon Prime to them, like a little snack of some sort or whatever. I love to do that. And I have found that they tell that is a good, anytime people get recognized for things, they're going to hang on a little bit longer, right? Because you're invested. They know you're invested in them. So you know what happens after that? They start building out their teams. And the next thing you know, you're like me and you've got like 40 some people under you before you woke up one morning and you're like, oh my God. So I think that, and again, these are things that I would want, right? Things that I like, and things that somebody has done for me and made me feel good about myself. Oh, I can do this. I am doing well. So I think that's important too. And again, when you start recruiting and when you really start talking to people, when you show that you're invested like that, they're gonna come. Like they will do it. I think that's what's happened for me. I mean, that formula's worked for me. I'm reading these. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. This is why I'm not good at talking, because then I start to read and I'm like, what's going
on? So one other thing I was thinking, obviously, as you were talking about this, is the onboarding process. And I know that is another area that kind of branches off from here. And I know that Tara and I have talked at length about it. We've, as directors, have talked at length about it, about what's the best way to onboarding ideas, what have you had success with, and things like that. And I know Tara shared it in my Wax Bars page, but when you have somebody come on, I mean, everybody is going to do things a little bit differently, but in that, I still can't remember the name of it, the refresh, restart, refocus, whatever the group is called that we keep sharing things from. Lindsay Conan Mitchell did a live last week, maybe, or the week before, on onboarding. And her process is very simple, but effective. And so if you haven't, is that the group who posted that? Was that you, Jamie? Is that the group? Is that the refresh, whatever group? You can just shake your head. I can see your face. Okay.
I realized I said yeah, and then I was like, I don't have it turned on, so you wouldn't have heard me.
But that group has had tons and tons and tons of great videos already. I've watched quite a few of them, but I know that onboarding is something that kind of everybody feels like they need to improve on or work on, and it goes along with this recruiting and sponsoring and mentoring. But if you get a chance, if you aren't in that group already, join, because the videos that they do, you guys, they live in those pages, just like any Facebook Live that any of us do in our own team pages. Those videos live in those pages. So if you can't get on when that person goes live, that's okay. But you can search for pretty much any topic that you could fathom wanting to learn more about, and you will find a video on it. Her onboarding training, it's not, she doesn't train you like, here's step A, here's step B, here's step C, that kind of thing, but she tells you what she does with her new consultants. And I think that a lot of us, myself included, grossly overcomplicate the onboarding process. And it doesn't need to be as difficult and as complicated maybe as we make it. And she has a very simple process that she does, and she has had some great success with it. But I think if you're one of those who's interested in learning more about how to effectively onboard your people, check that out. And she is like one of the sweetest human beings on the planet. So if you watch the video and you have questions, you can message her and she will answer you. You can talk it out with her. Yeah, Tara, I feel the same way. Like, I feel like it was definitely a light bulb moment, because it, like I said, she really kind of strips away all of the extra that isn't necessary, that we maybe think we need to be doing for people. But it wasn't, it doesn't need to be that complicated. We have to remember that Scentsy provides a lot of of training and onboarding for them. And so we don't have to recreate all of that stuff. We really just need to do more supporting of them and communicating with them, and not try to recreate the wheel and everything that we do.
Love it. And that, Jamie, what you just said, I also do a mock party every catalog season, a mock group party. And I put my posts in there, and then I invite my people on my team if they want to be in the group so they can see it all instead of looking at it. You know, sometimes if you have a lot of interaction in a party, you got to scroll through everything to see. I do a mock group or mock party group every catalog season, and my team loves that too. They all go in there and they, you know, they can see stuff for their parties as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think helping them run their launch parties, it was something that I didn't used to do. I would provide them with like it was kind of like what you do with a mock party, but it wasn't in a group. It was literally just like a document and they could copy and paste it. Look at Jamie. She's like, yep, that's all I got. You didn't run my launch party for me. That's how successful you are. But what I found is, again, it's one of those things where it's kind of like you're walking alongside them, right? Even though, and I put it out there, like when I help a new person run their launch party, I put it out there that we are running this. This is Susie Q's launch party. We are here. You're going to see posts that are coming from me. I also have them post things too. I don't post everything, but yes, I'm going to be visible, but your consultant is Susie Q, or maybe we're doing it and she's going to join. So we have, it kind of depends on the situation, but it's okay for you to go in there and be a part of that. Because again, that's going to give them confidence instead of, and I feel really bad. Like I feel bad, Jamie, that instead of being like, here's the
I
script,
turned out just fine. I'm just saying.
I know I used to drink from the hose. It's fine. I turned out fine. But it's not like saying, here's your launch party script. Go do your launch party. Good luck to you. And I felt like back when you joined, I was afraid that if I did that you weren't going to learn. Right. And so that just goes to show you that I let Tara copy and paste. So I was improving at that point, I guess. But it just goes to show you though, that as you go through your Scentsy journey, right, you're going to change up the way you do things. And just because this is the way you do it today doesn't mean that you can't change to do something else. Like I want to go and be Lindsay Conan Mitchell and onboarding now because it's so simple. And it's kind of like, why the heck did I make this so complicated and such a stressor in my business? It doesn't have to be like that. But the nice thing is that we have so many opportunities to learn different ways of doing things until one clicks with you. And you know what? It doesn't have to be, it doesn't mean that you've been doing it wrong all this time. It's just that this is a new way to try, to try doing things. We all change things up, here and there. Go ahead.
Don't you feel like too, it takes, again, I'm going back to the fear, right? Because that's most people, the unknown in that fear piece. So if they have this and they get their momentum, they're like, okay, yeah, I can do this. I can copy and paste. I can do this. I can, and then they start seeing success with it. And they're like, ooh, well, maybe I should put this in here because this is what I like the soak a little bit more than the counterclaim. So I'm really going to post some pictures about this. So I feel like that's what happens with people too. As for me, like when in the beginning, they were like, oh my gosh, I have one girl, she copies everything that I post, which is fine. But I'll tell you, she is amazing at selling, like Christmas time, selling the little kits or whatever that she makes, like the barb wax and I do horrible at those. I can't get anybody to buy any of those for me. She sells them like hotcakes. And in the beginning, she was so nervous. She was like, I'm just going to copy and paste everything you're doing. I said, okay, and then now she still does it, but she has her own thing on the side. And that's where she makes most of her PRV. So to your point, Kim, like people that, yes, they will, they eventually, when they see the success and they get comfortable, they'll find their way.
Yeah. And I think just being there when they need support. I mean, even once they hit star consultant, superstar consultant, director, star director, whatever, like I still lean on Laura all the time. Like just because I hit superstar consultant doesn't mean that I have all the answers and I know all of the things now. It's not how it works. And I kind of felt like you had mentioned it, Leo, that you were nervous when, you were nervous to hit director. I mean, it took me almost 2 years to hit director, and I was nervous too, because it's feels like a different, feels like a bigger deal. But really, I mean, when you hit director, you guys, and this is a plug for pushing for director, okay? Because I was super scared that I was going to have to like come up with ideas for team trainings, and I was going to have to do all of these things on my own. But there are so many leadership resources that Sensi offers. We have director share pages where, I mean, let's be honest, you guys, my brain is not the most creative. And so lots of the stuff that I post, I didn't come up with it. And it's okay. Somebody else's creative brain came up with it and shared it. And then I tweak it to make it sound like me or look like me or whatever. Or I put my own, I see someone share a graphic and I make my own graphic, whatever. But there's resources out there. We don't have to come up with everything by ourselves. And that's at any level. And I think it's important for even new people to know that. Like, you don't have to create everything uniquely. Like, we have so many places to get information and get post ideas and things like that from, that it kind of blows my mind with how much sharing goes on within the overall Sensi community. Because yes, bless all of the creative people, because I am not one of them. Every once in a while I'll come up with something and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool, I like that. But 90% of the time it's somebody else's idea.
Yeah, same.
I didn't get that gene or whatever.
I think this is where you and I are like, I'm a worker bee. Like, I'll work hard and I'll go out and do it for sure. But I guess I have to be inspired by something, like, ooh, I like that carpet. They'll look at it in here and with this plant, that, like, that's me. I never could think it up on my own. Like, I just never could, but I'll work at it.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is that people, I mean, I'm like that too. And I think everybody kind of is. And it's the key there is finding the people that inspire you, finding the people that, and they don't have to know, like Laura always says, like, find your circle of 5, right? They don't have to know if they're in your circle of 5, right? Like, I've got people in my circle of 5 that probably don't have a clue as to who I am, but it's the people that I pay attention to because they're doing the things I want to do. And so I watch them and I look at what they're doing and how they're running their business and what kind of things they're sharing. I mean, I'm not like,
Stalking them.
weird about it, right? I'm not being weird about it, but those are the people that I'm looking at. Like, the people that are where I want to be are the people that I want to emulate, I guess, like, so I'm looking at what's working in their businesses and how they're running their businesses. And some of the things that I've tried work, some of them don't, whatever. But you have to kind of find those people that put the fire in you, right? And they don't have to know that they're doing it. They would probably appreciate it if you told them. I mean, I've reached out to people and said, hey, I reached out to Lisa Roberry and told her about how she's like my new favorite person with her 30,000 PRV a month. Like, what? That's annual sales in 1 month, my friends. We're not even going to go down that road.
So crazy.
But I've reached out to her and I've told her, I'm like, girl, I thought I was a high PRV person, but I got some catching up to do, But the thing is that I realized that, when that was on the other day, I know when that was on the other day, that's why I kind of put that disclaimer out there and was like, she is going to drop some numbers that are going to blow your mind. And you have a choice. You can let those numbers like light the fire and inspire you, or you can compare yourself to them and let them get you discouraged. And it's pretty cut and dry. Like, however you're going to react to that is going to determine what you're going to do, right? Because it's very easy to be like, well, I could never do that. But do you know what I did? I'm going to tell you what I did after I watched her video. I went and did a live in my VIP group about Sensi Club, and I got 3 new Sensi Club subscribers the very next day. And I'm not like, I want to keep going. Like, I want more, but she's got like over 300. So I had like, that's what I want to be like her, right? Like I want her poster hanging on my wall. I want, you know what I mean? Like I want to be like her, but you have to choose. If something like that intimidates you, then you need to find somebody else that you can be inspired by, because it can do, you know, complete opposite things. And I realized that, and that's why I wanted to make sure when I posted that I put that disclaimer out there, because I realized that her numbers are huge. And they can be, you can either shut down or you can let it, you know, get your wheels turning. And how can I do more? Nobody is going to get those kind of numbers overnight. But if you chip away, you're going to start inching up towards bigger and better things, right? And it's just like when you're getting new people on board, right? We all started with the same kit. We all started with 0 customers. We all start every month with 0 PRV. It's up to us to change that. Same thing with when you're bringing on new people. Everybody's starting in this very same place. So it's not up to us to make them successful, but it's up to us to walk with them and to help them see what their potential is and show them what's possible and be there for them. And yeah, it might take some hand holding, but eventually they're going to start, like Leah said, they're going to start seeing success. And once people start seeing success, most of them want more. And so they're going to be like, oh, I got 500 PRV for the first time. Okay, I can do more than that. Right. And that's how you start growing. Like if you sit and you're like, yeah, I got my 200, I'm good, I'm going to take the rest of the month off. I mean, okay, if that's what you want to do, that's okay. But if you get your 200 in the first 5 days, why would you stop? Why would you stop?
For real.
You know, I mean, it is what it is. But I think in terms of, you know, bringing people in and just being there to support them and showing them that we've all been there. We've all been essential consultants. We've all been certified consultants. Nobody gets to skip grades here. Like everybody has to go through every single level to get where they're at. And so when you're bringing somebody on that's scared, you kind of have to put yourself back in those shoes. Right. And what kind of things helped you when you joined? And everybody, you know, people learn differently and all of that stuff, but put yourself back in their shoes, be there to support them, and, you know, give them the tools that they need and the resources that they need. We've got plenty of training. We've got plenty of, like I said, resources that people can use. It really does come down to self motivation and action. We know that, right? Like we can want it for everybody. We can give them the tools. We can walk alongside them, all of those things. But if they don't put in the effort, then it's not going to work.
Right.
So it, you know, and it'll always come down to that, but we do our part and then they have to do their part, you know, and together people can do amazing things, right? Yep. Yes. Yeah. And I, like Larissa said, you can eat an elephant a bite at a time. Not that you'd want to, but it's possible. But it's true. I mean, we say it all the time, like break things down. I mean, if you look at one little piece of the puzzle at a time, eventually the puzzle comes together. Whatever your puzzle is meant to look like, it will eventually come together, but it's not going to come out of the box all put together. Right? You have to do the work and make it happen. So it's I think a lot of times as leaders, and by leaders I mean even if you just have one person, you know, I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, because when people either fall off or they go gung-ho for a little while and then they just completely drop off, or maybe they join and you never hear from them, whatever, like we take things personally. I know I do. I take things very personally. And so I'm kind of like, well, gosh, you know, what did I do? Like, did I not do enough? Did I not? But you guys have to remember, there are people in this in Scentsy that basically didn't have any leadership at all, who are doing some pretty amazing things. And so don't take it personally if your people aren't engaged. I mean, if you're doing, there's nothing wrong with saying, I want more ideas. Like I know Amanda had posted earlier, like there's nothing wrong with saying, what can I do to XYZ? What can I do to get people more involved? What can I do to get people, whatever. I think number one is just stay consistent, because the more consistent you are, the people that are going to stick around, the people that are going to invest, they're going to keep coming, right? And then you're going to have some people that stray and go away and fall off, and you're going to get new people that keep coming. But like Leah said, people are watching. Sometimes people just aren't big on social media. They might be on social media, but there might not be big participants in social media, but people are always watching. And it's important that, you know, like if you host, let's say you host a team meeting and nobody shows up, or one person shows up. You guys, I've been there. We've all been there. Okay. But you can either say, well, I hosted a team meeting and only one person showed up, so I'm not doing that again.
And
I mean,
something
number
else,
one, what, Leah?
I was going to say, the other thing that I think is important that I just thought of, I don't remember if it was you or if it was, oh my gosh, my brain just went blank. But basically, the team that got you where you're at, it's not the team that's going to keep you going to. Laura, I forgot her name for a minute. I don't remember if it was Laura that said that, or you, probably both of you all, but that's kind of stuck with me too, because like you, I take things personally, and it's because I invest a lot of myself, and I have had to learn that I can't control the actions of others, right? Like I know that I did my best. I know that I gave my 100. I know I sent the texts. I know that I offered the kit. I know that I gave all the tools, but I can't, that's all I can do, right?
And sometimes it's something just clicks. Things click for people at different times. You might have someone who's super duper active in your team page that doesn't really work their business super hard. They're kind of just there for, you know, participation and friendship and whatever. And that's okay, because that's a big part of Scentsy, right? But then you might have another person who doesn't participate a lot, but they work their business. And so you kind of just have to roll with it. But I know that it gets frustrating. Sometimes you feel like, I'm doing this work and nobody's showing up. Nobody's answering the question. Nobody's commenting. Nobody's sharing, whatever. But the other thing too, especially Amanda, is as you grow, obviously you're going to get more and more of that. But don't think that you're doing anything wrong, and just stay consistent with what you're doing, because you're going to pick up more people as you go. You're going to pick up more and more people, and they're going to start contributing. I'm just reading.
Yes, that's a good one, Hope, for sure.
Yeah. And she's one of the ones that I think of all the time when I think about trainings and stuff, because she says every Tuesday at 9:15 for the last however many years, 14 years she's been doing this. She's like, they know where I'm at, you know, and if they want to show up, I am there. If it's not a good time or day for them, then that's where I will be. If you want to meet, if you want to come, that's where I will be. All right. Anything else? Jamie, Hope, Leah? No? Okay. Before we go, you guys, because we love you all so very much, we have a gift for you, but you're gonna have to, I don't know, you guys want me to have them text you for it, since we all have electronically? Does that work? Yes. Yeah. Okay. So here's what I want you guys to do. If you're still on here, text or Facebook message your director and just let them know that you were on for the entire Tuesday Touchpoints call. So if you're watching the replay, you're not eligible for the freebie. This is a gift for our friends who showed up today. Text or Facebook message your director. Let them know that you were on for the entire call, and we will send you the little freebie that we have for you guys that we think is going to help with the things that we talked about tonight. Okay. All right. So that's all I've got. If nobody has any other questions or comments or anything else, we're going to go ahead and let you guys go. I think next week is when Hope's going to talk about Scentsy Club, but wait for the official word on that, because I just want to make sure before I put anything out there. But I believe next week she's going to talk about Scentsy Club, which you guys, if you're not familiar with Scentsy Club, please get on here because it's a total game changer. So, Jennifer, we will find one for you. I saw her on here before. I think she turned her camera off, but we will find one for you. Okay. Yes. Hope says Scentsy Club 2.0. She's going to talk about next week. So, it'll come up, we'll do events we'll set up an event for that and everything, but next week we'll talking about Scentsy Club. That's it, you guys. So don't forget to message or text your director so that you can get your little gift. And I will not be on next week because I will be visiting Mickey Mouse next week and the week after. So I will not be here, but I know that you will be in wonderful hands. So I will talk to you guys all soon. And I hope that you guys have a great rest of your week and the next couple weeks until I'm back. Okay. All right. Bye, guys.